After returning from Alaska 2 days later, August 5th, 1989, we are now in New Hampshire, and these are some pictures of the house we just bought 2 weeks ago. There's the house sort of behind some Japanese lilacs. We'll get another picture of it from a different angle later. But I'm just now looking at the front lawn. And there's the barn that we've talked about a lot. Start back here at the house again, and I'll describe sort of what we've got here. There's a horseshoe lane that comes in from this entrance off of a little road. And you come in the horseshoe lane, and there's the house. And the house sits sort of in the middle of 10 acres. Around the house on all sides is a bit of bluegrass, but then on each side of the house there's, I don't know, about an acre or 2 acres of meadow. For example, over here on this side, this is the meadow. Kind of slopes gently down. There's an inn, little restaurant inn behind those trees. And here on this Saturday afternoon today, there must be some sort of a wedding party or something, because there's a whole bunch of music and noise coming from down there. In any case, this meadow on this north side of the house sort of ends there. And as you can see in the back, along the entire 10 acres is about 5 acres of woodlot. Really big pine trees and aspen and oaks and maples that run the entire width of the 10 acres behind the house. In any case, as you come up the lawn or the lane, there is behind this tree here, I'll show you, a blueberry hedge, and look what we find in the blueberry hedge. Ah, the country life. A little blueberry picker. Hi, Catherine. What you got? Let me come up and see him. And on the other side, hidden in the trees, is another blueberry picker. Barely see his toes. Let's go see what kind of blueberries they've got. What have you got there? Are you picking blueberries?
Yeah.
Okay, stand right there and tip them. I'm going to come in and zoom in on the camera and show me what they look like. How many did you get?
I don't know.
Are they good?
Yeah.
Eat one.
No.
No. Are you finding them easy to pick or hard to pick?
Hard.
Hard. Why? Okay.
Dad,
Hi, Michael. Where are you?
here. I'm
Oh.
over there. I'm over there in the bush.
Wait. Let me see how high you are relative to the bush. Okay. Are you finding them easy or hard to pick?
Well, actually, I'm finding them hard to pick.
Why?
Since most of the good ones, which I'm trying to get us through, prickly branches, so I kind of bend the branch.
Have the birds eaten some of them while we were gone?
Probably.
Okay. Are there quite a few on there?
What?
Blueberries.
Oh, yes, of course. About, I don't know, 100 left.
Okay. Well, let's look at them from a different angle. Here's the different angle of the blueberry hedge. And you get a different angle of the meadow that's on the north side of the house. And if I pan this way, we see that's the entrance to the property over there that I was standing at before when I took the other pictures. In any case, there's the blueberry hedge, and then behind it and over there are some apple trees. Now if we go this way, we're closer to the house. Here's a gigantic fern patch on the north side of the house, on the north side of the porch. Up, and look what we have here. Another demonstration of the country life. On her first day at her new house, Margaret is already pruning the shrubbery and is very happy. Are you happy, Margaret?
I love to prune.
You love to prune. Well, wait a second. Let me get a close-up of that as you say that so everybody can see it. Come on, you're hiding.
All right.
Now tell us again what you're doing.
Pruning my Rosa rugosa.
And you are happy.
I'm happy. I am happy.
Probably one of the reasons you're happy is we're seeing sun for the first time in a week.
True.
You're hiding behind the shrub again. Ooh, that took out a big piece of it, didn't it?
It was winter kill.
Winter kill. All right, well.
There was no snow last week.
Well, we're going to leave you here and go tour the property, all right? Goodbye. All right, there is another view of the north side of the house, showing the gigantic porch that exists. All right, let's keep walking along here, along the north side of the house. Well, it's kind of jump. I'm going to stop and then I'll get over in that corner and take some other pictures. Now, I'm on the other side of the house there, just to give you a sense of direction. There's where we left our blueberry pickers in the hedge. You can see their feet. And sort of back in behind there you can see our pruner behind the fern bed. In any case, there's a gigantic fern bed on the north side of the house, and this is what the opposite side of the house looks like. Technically, when this house was built at the turn of the century, this was the front of the house. And apparently at one time the driveway actually entered on this side of the house. But probably for the last 50 or 60 years, because of that private lane over there, they switched the driveway around, and now what was built to be the back of the house is actually where you drive in today with the cars. In any case, this view shows the extent of the way the porch wraps around three sides of the house. In part of it there on that, I guess that would be the southwest corner, as you can see, is screened in so that in the summer you can get away from the bugs. The house is called a Teddy Roosevelt style shingle house, which I guess was quite commonly built at the turn of the century during the administration of Teddy Roosevelt. Alright, here's another view of the meadow that runs north of the house. The camera is now pointing at the direction of all that music and sound. Tranquility of the country seems not to be present today. Alright, what I'm going to do now is walk over to the southwest corner of the bluegrass and show you what it looks like from that corner. This is a good time to say that that over here to my right is all of the forest. And as I said earlier, there's 5 acres of it that runs down in here. I don't know how many feet it is. It must be about 500 feet from where I'm standing to the edge of the property line, or more, and just filled with different kinds of hardwoods as well as softwoods and pine. Okay, we'll go to that corner and start over again. Alright, now we're on the southwest corner of the cut bluegrass patch, looking back at the house this way. There's a cloud passed overhead, so it's a little not as bright as it was before. Oh, there it comes. But you can see here again how the porch wraps around, and even on this south side it comes around the corner to the back door. Also, you can notice how the house at this point on this one side angles, which creates an interesting sense of space. That little part over here, this part right in here, that's on the angle, is where the family dining room and the kitchen is. Okay. From this corner too, that's the barn of course, but I'll pan over the meadow that exists on the south side of the house. It's about as large as the one on the north side and runs down at an angle, more of an elevation drop as you go toward the total southwest corner of the property. We're not sure what's really planted in this meadow. It looks like just wild grasses and things. At one time it appears that this south meadow particularly was totally an orchard, because there are a couple apple trees left in it. What I'm focusing on now is the only house one can really see from the property, which is the house at the end of that lane off of which our driveway runs. Apparently that's a couple we have not yet met who apparently are here 12 months of the year. In any case, here's a wonderful maple tree that exists on the south side of the house. Alright, I'll stop here and go over toward the barn. before I go over to the barn, I should point out that that whole bunch of shrubbery in there that sort of separates the edge of the house from the barn and from an old masonry barbecue pit that still is there, is a mock orange combined with a lilac hedge. Margaret, I'm sure in the next few weeks is going to have a handful of days' pleasure cutting her way through that. The barn, from this little grassed area that exists south of the house around the barbecue area. As you can see, the barn's got a virtually new roof on it, and that barn is just in terrific shape. Actually, I'll take this shot too before I go on the other side. This is the lilac hedge shooting back toward the house. So you can see a big lilac hedge. Perhaps more important, though, is this thicket of stuff here at the edge of the barn. We thought it was a raspberry thicket, but based upon what we find in it today, it's a blackberry thicket. So that will be kind of fun. Plus there's some other stuff that's got berries on it all around here that we really don't know what it is. I'm sure we'll find out in the next few weeks whether we've got some raspberries and some other berries around here that are edible. Alright, finally now I'm going to go on the other side of the barn. Alright, finally now I'm on the other side of the house, which is now the front of the house, originally the back, however. And we've sort of pretty much gone a full circle around the house. Where I'm standing at now is the opposite end of the horseshoe lane. If you remember, about 5 minutes ago I was over there at the other end of it. Now I'm over here. There are our blueberry pickers. There's our pruner over there. And here's the house. It's sufficiently hidden from this backside by those really gigantic Japanese lilacs, which we have not seen in bloom, but everyone tells us that in the spring they are completely covered with white blossoms and are just quite phenomenal. Apparently it was a tree that was very popular at the turn of the century. In any case, there's a hedge of some kind, and there we see the kitchen wing of the house. Some more tall maples, and we have another shot of the front of the barn. Here I'll pan down this side of the barn. As I think I've said when we've talked about the property, the barn is about 30 feet by 60 feet, quite large. And there we shoot back down toward the southern meadow. Okay, one final place I'm going to stand before going inside is right in front of that evergreen there and take a front view of the house. Okay, here's one final view of what is now the front of the house, originally the back of the house. Pictures in the winter will probably give a better sense of the house when the trees are minus their leaves. Alright, I said I was going to do the barn. Here's the barn. It's sort of your basic quintessential barn. Even has a second floor that you can put hay in. And I guess in the old days that was done, because inside the barn there are 5 or 6 horse stalls, and I guess around when the house was first built they kept horses here. The blueprints even show that on the second floor there was this room, an area set aside for what they called the stableman's room. So they may even in the early days have had somebody who was a live-in who actually lived in the barn and took care of the horses. Alright, well now I'm just going to quickly see if we can get any picture at all by just walking in there. It's got ramps that you can park your vehicle if you want to. The camera's going to have to adjust in here to the light switch. And as you see when you get in it, not only did the former tenants leave a bunch of wood, but you get a real sense of it is a big barn. And what you see along the edge here, not terribly clearly, but stacked on the side and in that back room over there and in the closet are just gobs and gobs of tools and equipment and wrenches and hammers, and a veritable hardware store has been left behind. Very similar to the hardware store we had left behind in the basement of the Boston house. All right, let's go into the back room there for 1 second. I don't know if the camera's going to get it, but as you walk into the back room, you begin seeing that back in here, there is in fact a stable. And again, it's too dark to really get it, but there are in each stable is just chock full of things left behind, like skis, sleds, toboggans, croquet sets, baseball bats, saws, about a dozen hoses, leftover lumber, windows, screens. Margaret will just have a field day pawing through all this stuff and deciding what it all is for and what we're going to wind up doing with it. Here I am in the big room of the barn, shooting back where I came, and I'm just sort of trying to show, I don't know whether it's going to come out in the picture, the extent to which the barn is completely covered in, I guess it's wainscoting. I mean, it's finished off in terms of finished lumber, finished work, the ceiling sides, everything. I mean, the barn would make a perfect house with some renovation. It's a terrific barn. If this is working at all in terms of the picture, but I'm upstairs in the barn now just trying to show, if it comes out, the immense second floor of this barn, which apparently in the old days was used for hay storage and feed storage, but it's got terrific structural members on it. Margaret's already got plans for turning the barn into a studio for her varied and sundry crafts adventures. I'm threatening to turn a piece of the downstairs, if we can put a old potbelly stove into it, into a maple sugaring house. We will see how far that idea gets. In any case, that, by the way, should be obvious, is the backside of the door we saw earlier where they shoved the hay in the old days. All right, let's cut it off here and see if we can get into the house. I guess before we get to the house, we ought to look out the front door of the barn and show you what it looks like as you come out of it. As you can see, we come out and we come back to our blueberry patch over there, where our friends are still picking. And we can see from this angle, probably the best shot so far, of the back porch of the house that goes in directly to the kitchen area, which is that part of the house that's on that angle from the main body of the house, which is on one direction. I guess is that one direction, and then there's this little wing where they have the dining room and the kitchen. Before going into the house, Margaret, there she is, our pruner, is insisting that I take a before and after shot of her first pruning job. There we have on the canvas spread the desiderati of the, what kind of tree is this, Margaret?
That's
The one you just pruned.
Rosa rugosa.
Rosa rugosa?
It's the tiniest.
Oh, well anyway, whatever it is, there it is in its slightly shortened condition. A lot better, she says. Another thing that's already bitten the dust and been cleaned up is a, what do you call this one?
Smoke tree.
A smoke tree, which about half an hour ago was struggling against a whole patch of ferns. Now the ferns have been pulled back and there's a smoke tree. And there is the conquering hero. What are you going to do with the junk?
Putting it behind the barn.
I see. We're not going to carry it back to Boston for the garbage man, are we? No. Good.
Have a bonfire.
Aha. Goodbye. All right, now we're going to get in the house. The way we're going to get in the house is by walking up the porch. It's your basic cinema verite. Here's the porch we looked at. Here's the view that you see off of this porch. Right in front of the house are these two gigantic maple trees that clearly were planted there as a match set. Our theory, which we have no proof of, is that at one point the driveway, way back when in the early 20th century, came up between those two maple trees. But we don't know that as a fact, we just think that. And this is the front door of the house that faces out on what is now the back side of the house. And here we are walking through that front door into what's clearly the living room. Now as we take some shots inside the house here, I should warn you that we haven't moved in yet. The furniture that we're bringing in from Boston out of storage is not coming in till Friday of this coming week, so what we have here is whatever furniture was left in the house by the former owners. Now, this then, is the living room. Big fireplace, and over here in this corner, overlooking the North Meadow, a kind of a seat that's built into the wall. Still in the same living room, only now from the opposite corner, looking back at the door I just entered through. Again, shot of the fireplace, nice big room. What's interesting here is that this is where the stairs go to the second floor. There's a nice open stairwell, very similar to the house in Boston, that the stairs take a turn halfway up. In this particular instance, there's a kind of a balcony up there, and there's a seat that runs across that whole intermediate landing there. Then the stairs go on up, of course, to the second floor. Nice room. Floors are all hardwood, apparently never been varnished, they're just waxed. Okay, next to this room, right in the middle of the house, we pan the camera. Let me walk over to the fireplace and we'll show it going the other direction. Through opening is the dining room. So let's go to it. Big dining room, also has its own fireplace. The table that we see was left behind by the previous owners. It's an old antique pine table, or walnut table, I guess. Okay, there's a built-in cupboard. All these windows on this side that I'm showing now face onto that covered porch on the first floor. Anyway, this is the dining room. And on this side, of course, is the other side of the house, and here it's a nice bay window. And of course, we're going to put the dining room in that bay window. Let's walk down this hallway now. And as we do, we come across like a little family room or den that has some bookshelves, and if we walk into it, we can see that it is where the previous owners had a television set. This is sort of like their living area, their sort of real day-to-day living area. And over here in this opposite corner, there's another fireplace, which we tried when we were here 2 weeks ago because it was a chilly night, unlike now. And it was a wonderful fireplace, drew great. Wallpaper is going to have to be taken off, or so Margaret says. But it's a nice room, small but nice. Now,
Why are you doing that? Answering the question.
if we look through this screen, lo and behold, look what we find here in the screened-in porch. Our blueberry pickers! And they are playing in the screened-in porch at this point to cool off and to stay away from the bugs. And playing with some Legos. All right. Goodbye, blueberry pickers! I walk out of this family room or den or whatever it is, and as you can see, you cross over the hallway directly into the kitchen. And here's a basic shot of the kitchen. You can see it's got a sort of a preparing food area. There's a lot of cupboards. And then those cupboards and this sort of cabinet here separate this sort of preparation half from this other area in here, which is sort of like a family dining area, not the formal dining area. There's been some new windows installed here that look out on, well, like on that horseshoe drive. Another stove, fireplace type stove, and some more of the more modern windows. We walk to where this fireplace is and pan. We see, the back door of the house, which has its own porch. There's a washer dryer kind of pantry room there, or washroom, slop room, whatever you want to call it. There's an actual pantry that's got shelving and stuff on it. And then coming back this way, looking back at the kitchen from this opposite direction, you can see sort of what we've got here. If this is the part of the house, I talked about it earlier, it sits at an angle from the rest of the house, and it, as I said at the time, it creates an interesting sort of sense of optics, because here your sight line goes this way, and then through that doorway right there, which I'm going to pan into, also goes through a little pantry, but that enters into that formal dining room we were in a few seconds ago, which sort of takes off at about a 45-degree angle. Sort of an interesting way of designing this house in 1904. This wall here covered with bookshelves. Okay, let's walk back the way we came into the central hallway. There's another door that goes into the first part of the porch. This is the one area of the porch here on this very southwest corner of the house, which is not covered. It's more like a sun porch. It doesn't have the overhanging second floor on it, like the rest of the porch does. Okay, we'll stop here and go back to the front stairwell. All right, here we are back in the living room facing the stairwell. Now we're going to go up that major stairwell and see what the second floor looks like. What we're doing here now is just showing the stairwell from the opposite direction as it comes down from the second floor, and you can see that bench that's built into the stairwell, and of course the windows that look out over kind of an ersatz balcony that fronts the lawn there as it faces the wooded part of the property. Now, at this spot, sort of it's where you would be if you came up the stairwell. Well, actually, let's do it as if we were coming up the stairwell. Let me rotate around here. You come across some awful-looking wallpaper, but you turn to your left, and there are 3 bedrooms, one at the end there, which is huge, running the full width of the house. One there, one there. No big deal here. They're just, basic, ordinary bedrooms, each with its own closet, hardwood floors throughout. Here's the opposite one. This one is the one that's got the bay window overlooking, again, now the front of the house, originally the back of the house, but you can see those Japanese lilac trees through the windows that we saw earlier when we looked at the outside of the house at this angle. And then lastly, at the end of this hallway is a very large bedroom. They say that this particular room is not insulated for year-round occupancy, and it's more of a summer bedroom. It's got windows on 3 sides. This is where Catherine and Michael slept last night. Michael in his sleeping bag. All right, now if we go all the way around here, we can look back the whole hallway on the second floor. And nothing fancy here. We can do this pretty quickly. Here we're passing the 2 bedrooms we just looked into. And as we get to these doorways to our right, all we find is another bedroom, which has a dressing room attached to it and a bathroom behind that wall. And across the hallway, if one isn't dizzy by now, another empty room, which is another bedroom. Bottom line on all of this is that there are 5 rooms up here, each which can be a bedroom, as well as at the end of the building on this end is another room, which could be yet another bedroom. Though this one possibly a little awkward as a bedroom because it has a doorway on this side, which feeds to the back stairwell. Oh, look what we have here. What you got? Stop where you are so I can film you. What are we doing here?
Mom found a bird nest.
Mom found a bird nest. Has it got birds in it?
No.
Has it got eggs in it?
No.
Could we take the bird nest out of the house in case it has fleas in it?
Good idea.
Good idea. Let's put it on the porch. And then let's wash our hands so we get the fleas off, okay? Seriously.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.
The country life. All right, see where I was saying that there's, I didn't get this earlier on, I was on the first floor, but there's a kind of a narrow back stairwell that does get up to the second floor, and that's it there, it feeds into this smaller room on the end here on the south end of the house. So if need be, this could be a bedroom, but more likely is going to be left as kind of I don't know, a room where you're going to be able to have people walk through it if they want to use that back stairwell. Margaret talks about turning this room because it's got this southern exposure and this nice bright, particularly morning light. This is where she's going to put the loom that we bought a number of years ago in Boston, which has never been set up. It's still in the basement of the Boston house, but is coming up here, I guess, at the end of the week with the moving truck. All right, here, the only other thing left to show is the bathroom. There's one over there, which is basic bathroom with an old-fashioned raised bathtub on legs and wonderful old porcelain lavatory with the gigantic, 18-inch porcelain backsplash. Old hardware throughout, which we're going to leave totally intact. One thing we will change, needless to say, in this particular bathroom is the wonderful chartreuse color. And if we pan this way, right opposite is another bathroom, which is really kind of part of this, I guess what was a master bedroom suite connected to this one bedroom. This will probably be where the grandmas and grandmas stay when they come to New Hampshire because it has its own bathroom and it can be sort of a self-enclosed unit. Okay, enough here. As we walk down this way, I'm not going to do much else here other than to say when you get to where this rear stairwell is, there's another door, which if one opened it, one would see an attic. I don't know that one needs to show that other than to say that there's a lot of storage here, attic storage, which is on top of this kitchen family dining room extension that's at the angle to the main part of the house. And interestingly enough, and we don't know what we're going to do with it in the house, there came with it this, I guess somebody must have at some point been here who was paralyzed. There is on this back stairwell like an elevator chair to get somebody up to the second floor who can't take the steps. All right, I'm going to stop here now in this exciting juncture because we've pretty much done the inside of the house. We are back on the first floor. I wasn't going to turn the machine on again, but I guess in the interest of being thorough, I should walk down this last, walk through the house again as I've already done, and show the last thing left, I guess, which is the rear stairwell from the first floor up. Again, showing the chair that goes the elevation. But perhaps also to point out that that's where the entrance is to the basement and that it's a full basement, and unlike many of the houses we looked at, it is dry. I'm going to save the basement and not place it on tape because it is of marginal interest. Let's walk out here as we close down this tape on the sun porch. Pretty neat, eh? Walking through a door with the camera on. Alright, this is that last sort of south piece of the porch, which doesn't have the second floor overhang, so it's totally exposed to the sun. And we'll sort of pan one more time toward the south meadow. There were those lilac hedges we had seen earlier. Margaret is now in there, beginning her early hacking away at the lilacs. And perhaps a fitting way to end this tape is to look up there at the top of the barn off of the sun porch here and see the ventilator, and to point out that it has a wonderful weather vane on it, but with a copper peg. In any case, there is our tour of the New Hampshire house, which hopefully will encourage everybody to, at some point in the next year, come and see it for themselves and spend some time in any of the bedrooms they want upstairs. Alright, we're going to turn off the machine now and end this cinema.